Hey everybody, LJ here, and today I'd like to review the third film in the Scream franchise, named, fittingly enough, Scream 3. This film was released in 2000, has a running time of approximately 117 minutes, and it is Wes Craven's third foray into the Scream franchise. Now yes, in this film you have all your favorite characters from the past two films. They are back, including Neve Campbell, David Arquette, and Courtney Cox. And yes, your favorite masked murderer, the Ghostface Killer, is back in full force. Now the film starts off with a very action-packed, suspenseful beginning. Same with the first two films, though the thing is, in this third film, you have a very beloved character, a character I'd really come to respect in Scream 2. Well, this character is killed at the hands of Ghostface. You can take your guess as to which character it is. I'm not spoiling it. And from then on, the insanity ensues. You find out that Sidney Prescott is living very reclusively in a farmhouse, hasn't been in contact with any of her family or friends, and she's trying to forget the tragic events of the past. Who wouldn't? She actually seems to work for this abused woman's hotline as a counselor, which I found pretty interesting. And the Ghostface Killer, new killer, same mask. He makes his familiar calls, though this time he's aided with a voice changer.
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 With a voice changer. With a voice changer. With a voice changer.
With a voice changer. With a voice changer. With a voice changer.
With a voice
Changer.
To make things a little more interesting, spice it up this time around in the third installment. Now, most of this film does take place in Hollywood, especially on the set of the film Stab 3, which, as you know, if you've seen my review for Scream 2, the Stab films are a series of films inspired and based off of Gale Weathers' accounts on the Woodsboro murders and what occurred in the first and second films. Basically, it's a documentary of the Ghostface Killer and his murders in years past, but obviously with actors replacing those of the actual people. Yes, the Scream films are definitely known for its comedy aspects and cliches, and that is no excuse here in this film. Yes, the Stab films are a film within the film, as weird as that sounds. As always, many references to other horror movies as well, which I've come to know and love while watching these movies. And yes, as always, Wes Craven does a great job blending the boundary between comedy and horror and making it seem like a very comfortable, cohesive whole. Now for my opinions on the film, I can assume with most franchises out there, as by the time it gets to the third film, there's an extreme drop-off in quality. It's not so much the case here. You get thrills, chills, and plot hooks aplenty. As always, the ending is extremely surprising and satisfying when the killer is unveiled. The killer which you've been racking your brains all movie long trying to figure out, oh, who could this be? And you find out the killer is not who you expected at all. But unfortunately, and I suppose it's inevitable when it comes to a third film in a franchise, but there are some elements that have become slightly stale. The idea of having the protagonist conveniently having his or her back turned so the killer can sneak up on them with a knife, that's become kind of old. Why can't you just turn around? I'm not blaming the character for not having spider-like senses and reflexes, but I mean, come on, after the first two films and then this film, you kind of want a little bit of a change in pace. It seems some of Wes Craven's little charms and tweaks that so amazed you in Scream and Scream 2, this time around, they are a little aged, a little old. You come to expect what's going to happen, but hey, it's still entertaining nonetheless. Don't get me wrong, this movie is still entertaining as hell. The character of Deputy Dewey is back, played by David Arquette. In case you haven't picked it up yet, Dewey is one of my favorite characters in the whole franchise, and he reprises his role for this film, does a terrific job acting, great job. The whole cast did a great job in general. The end scene does a terrific job at keeping you at the edge of your seat, great finale. And if you viewer, as I did, notice when watching this film a decrease in horror and violence is because of the events of the Columbine High School Massacre. When that occurred in 1999, there was increased scrutiny of violence in the media, so they had to decrease the horror and violence and upgrade on the comedic elements. Scream 3 would have to be my least favorite of the Scream films that I've seen so far, but that's not saying much. They're all each phenomenal in their own right. This one just didn't quite deliver in the way I expected. So, with that being said, I would have to give Scream 3 a 4.5 out of 5. Good movie, just not quite on par with the first two. I would still say if you haven't seen the movie yet, check it out, please, especially if you've seen the first two, you gotta see it. And the final scene of the film, I mean the very final scene, really helps set the mood of peacefulness, puts you at rest, and it really does a great job at finishing off the trilogy. But wait, it's not over. Yep, you heard right. Turns out a fourth entry in the franchise was released a little while back, directed by Wes Craven, rightfully called Scream 4, and I have heard very generally favorable reviews on that film. I hear it's the one film in the series that can most closely compete with the original. Don't know if that's true, but I do plan to see it in the future sometime. Don't own it yet. But as always, please stay tuned here on my channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you're seeing. And join me next time as I review the classic horror film, first film in its franchise, Friday the 13th. Bye. Bye.